Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling confused, guilty, or somehow convinced to do something you never wanted to do? Maybe a friend borrowed money again. Maybe a coworker convinced you to take on extra work. Or maybe someone made you apologize, even though you weren't the one who did anything wrong. If that sounds familiar, don't worry. You might have experienced something called dark psychological tactics. Now, before you imagine secret agents wearing black sunglasses and controlling minds, let's clear something up. Most dark psychological tactics are surprisingly ordinary. They're not usually used by villains. They're often used by friends, co-workers, salespeople, family members, and sometimes even by us without realizing it. Today, we're going to uncover some of the most common dark psychological tactics used in everyday life. And trust me, once you notice them, you'll start seeing them everywhere. Let's begin. The first tactic is called guilt tripping. This one is incredibly common. Imagine your friend says, "Wow, I guess I'll go alone then." Sounds innocent, right? But what they're really saying is, "If you don't come with me, you should feel bad." Instead of directly asking for what they want, they make you feel guilty. Suddenly, you're canceling your own plans just to avoid feeling like a terrible person. It's almost like emotional blackmail with better manners. The second tactic is playing the victim. We've all met someone like this. No matter what happens, they're always the victim. Missed a deadline? Someone else's fault. Got caught lying? Misunderstood. Started the argument? Apparently they're the one who suffered. These people can make you feel guilty for confronting them. You end up apologizing while wondering how the conversation got flipped upside down. It's like entering a boxing match and somehow getting blamed for the weather. The third tactic is gaslighting. This one is powerful. Gaslighting happens when someone makes you doubt your own memory or perception. You say, "You promised you'd help me." They reply, "I never said that." You clearly remember it, but they keep denying it. Eventually, you start questioning yourself. Wait, maybe I remembered it wrong. That's exactly what they want. The goal is to make you trust them more than you trust your own judgment. The fourth tactic is love bombing. This sounds romantic, but it can be dangerous. At first, someone showers you with attention, constant messages, endless compliments, lots of affection. They make you feel like the most important person in the world. Then suddenly, everything changes. The attention disappears. Now you're chasing the feeling they originally gave you. It's like getting a free sample of happiness and then being charged emotionally for the full version. The fifth tactic is social pressure. Humans naturally want to fit in. And manipulators know this. Imagine everyone in a meeting agrees with an idea. You secretly think it's terrible, but you stay quiet. Why? Because nobody wants to be the odd one out. This tactic appears everywhere. Advertising, social media, workplaces, friend groups. When people say, "Everyone is doing it," they're often trying to use social pressure instead of actual logic. The sixth tactic is creating urgency. You've probably seen this one online. "Only 2 left. Offer ends in 10 minutes. Act now before it's too late." Suddenly, your brain stops thinking carefully. You panic, you rush, you buy something you didn't even need. Funny enough, half the time you return the next day and the same limited offer is still there. Apparently, those 2 remaining items have been surviving for 6 months. The seventh tactic is silent treatment. Instead of discussing a problem, someone completely ignores you. No calls, no texts, no replies, nothing. The silence creates anxiety. You start wondering, did I do something wrong? Are they angry? Should I apologize? The goal is often to make you chase their approval, and the longer the silence lasts, the more powerful it feels. The eighth tactic is selective kindness. This is when someone is nice only when they want something. Need a favor? Suddenly they're your best friend. Need help in return? They're nowhere to be found. Their kindness isn't really kindness. It's an investment, and they expect returns. The ninth tactic is information overload. Some people talk so much and so fast that you stop analyzing what they're saying. They flood you with details, statistics, stories, complicated explanations. By the end, you're too mentally exhausted to question anything. It's like trying to drink water from a fire hose. The 10th tactic is making you feel special. Now this one sounds positive, but sometimes it's used strategically. Someone says, "You're smarter than everyone else. Only you understand me. You're different from other people." At first, it feels amazing, but often they're building emotional dependence. They're making you crave their approval. And once that happens, influencing your decisions becomes much easier. Now, here's the interesting part. Why do these tactics work so well? Because they target normal human emotions, the desire to belong, the fear of rejection, the need for approval, the fear of missing out, the wish to be loved and accepted. In other words, they work because we're human. And honestly, that's not something to be ashamed of. The good news is that awareness is powerful. The moment you recognize these tactics, they lose much of their power. You start noticing patterns, you pause before reacting, you ask better questions, and you make decisions based on logic instead of emotional pressure. That doesn't mean you become suspicious of everyone, it simply means you become harder to manipulate. Think of it like learning magic tricks. Once you know how the trick works, it's still entertaining, but it's a lot harder to fool you. So the next time someone makes you feel guilty, rushed, confused, or overly dependent on their approval, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I making this choice because I truly want to? Or because someone is quietly pushing me toward it? That one question can change everything. And who knows? You might start spotting dark psychological tactics all around you. In advertisements, in relationships, at work, on social media, maybe even in conversations you have tomorrow. The more you notice them, the more control you regain over your own mind. And that's a pretty powerful skill to have. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden side of human behavior, remember this. The strongest mind isn't the one that controls others. It's the one that refuses to be controlled. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.